Never imagined that a house I poured my whole heart into could someday feel like it no longer belonged to me. This home was once full of my laughter, my cooking, my music playing softly in the kitchen while I baked pies on Sunday afternoons. Every corner had a memory, warm, gentle, comforting. But now, I stand in the same living room, and it feels like I'm walking through a stranger's home. It happened on a quiet afternoon. The sun was settling behind the maple tree outside the window, casting golden light across the room. I was carrying a tray of tea, something so ordinary, something I've done every day for years. But that day, nothing was ordinary. Lily looked at me with a smile that wasn't quite a smile. Her voice was sweet, too sweet, the kind of sweet that tastes bitter if you notice closely. She leaned back on the couch, crossed her legs, and said softly, "Your time is over now, Maggie." Then she laughed, not loudly, but quietly, with just enough cruelty to make sure it landed. I froze, not just physically, but inside. My heart felt like it paused. I looked at my son, Daniel, sitting right beside her. He didn't even lift his eyes. He just stared at the floor, hands folded together, silent. I waited for him to say something, anything, but he didn't. And the silence was louder than any words could ever be. But what Lily didn't know was someone else was watching. Someone who heard every word. Someone who would change everything later. But at that moment, I didn't know that. I only knew how it felt to be told I didn't belong in the very house I built with love. My name is Margaret, though everyone has always called me Maggie. I'm 60 years old, though I've never cared much about numbers. Life is measured more in smiles and tears than years, I believe. I was a school teacher for nearly 3 decades. Not the strict kind, the soft-spoken kind, the one children ran to when they scraped a knee or needed comfort. I always believed gentleness could heal most things. My husband passed away when my son Dan was still young. That day, the world felt like it shifted under my feet. But I didn't collapse, I couldn't. I became mother and father, guide and shelter, strength and warmth. Dan grew up watching me struggle quietly, returning from long days at school, cooking late dinners, mending clothes, paying bills slowly, carefully. He always said, "Mom, one day I'll take care of you. You won't have to worry," and I believed that, because he was always a soft-hearted child, thoughtful, gentle. When he grew older and found a stable job, I felt proud, so very proud. And when he told me he had met a girl, my heart began preparing to make space, to welcome, to love more. That girl was Lily. The first time I met her, she was polite. She had warm blonde hair that fell softly around her shoulders, and her smile seemed bright and friendly. She brought flowers, daisies, my favorite. She said she didn't know, but maybe she did. Or maybe she was just thoughtful back then. We cooked together that evening. She asked about Dan's childhood. She laughed at my stories. She hugged me when she left. I remember thinking, "Thank you, God, my son is loved." Their wedding was simple and lovely. Not extravagant, not loud. Just family, candlelight, and genuine joy. And when Lily moved into our home, I welcomed her openly. I never wanted to be the kind of mother-in-law who felt threatened or controlling. I wanted her to feel this house was hers too. So I stepped back, I softened my presence, gave her space, gave her freedom. Because you don't lose love by sharing it. Love grows when given, or so I believed. The first changes were small. The kitchen cabinets were rearranged. Salt and pepper placed where sugar had always been. The curtains replaced with something more modern. I smiled. I was happy she felt free to make the house her home. Then came the comments. Not direct, just little things. "Oh, Maggie still cooks like this? I don't think we need to keep these old decorations. Let's throw some of this stuff away." Stuff, memories, pieces of my life I told myself not to mind. Lily was young, she had her own tastes. Every new wife does. But then, something inside her tone began to shift. One afternoon, I was folding laundry when I heard her say to Dan, "Your mom needs to stop interfering. This is our life now. I wasn't interfering. I was just living here still. I stayed quiet." Because love sometimes means stepping back, doesn't it? Lily started making decisions on everything. Groceries, furniture, even family plans. Dan followed, not because he agreed, but because he was tired of arguments. I saw his shoulders get heavier, saw his voice get smaller, but he didn't look at me anymore like he used to. I didn't blame him. Marriage is delicate. Love pulls differently. I learned to eat earlier so the kitchen would be free. I moved my belongings to the smallest bedroom so they could have more space. I kept my footsteps light, my presence quiet. But the quieter I became, the easier it became for Lily to speak louder. The day Lily said those words, "Your time is over," I wasn't hurt by the words themselves. I was hurt by the ease with which she said them, as if I didn't have a lifetime behind me, as if I wasn't a person, just an obstacle. My heart didn't shatter in a dramatic way. It broke silently, like lace tearing. Slow quiet, but impossible to repair. And Dan's silence. That silence felt like betrayal. Not hateful betrayal, just heartbreaking. I felt myself shrinking inside my own skin. But then a voice came from behind me. A calm, steady, strong voice. I heard everything. Lily's eyes widened. Dan lifted his head. I turned slowly. And standing in the doorway was the one person Lily never expected to be there. The one who had seen everything. The one who knew every truth of this house. The one whose presence alone could change everything. When I turned toward the voice, my breath caught in my chest. Standing in the doorway was my husband's younger brother, John. But to me, he had always been more like a brother, a friend, a strong, thoughtful presence in our family. He had been away for years, traveling for work overseas. We didn't know he was returning that day. No one expected him, not even Dan. He carried a small travel bag over his shoulder, his coat still on, his shoes dusty from the road. But his eyes were sharp, steady, clear, and full of understanding. He had heard everything, every single word. The living room felt suddenly heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. Lily's laughter disappeared instantly. Her face stiffened. She sat up straight, but it was too late. The words were already said. The truth was already out. For a moment, none of us spoke. The sunlight outside had dimmed, and the house seemed darker now, not because of the time of day, but because of the weight of the moment. John stepped forward slowly, placing his bag down near the table. He didn't look angry, he didn't look surprised. He simply looked certain, like a man who had seen this kind of thing before. His voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. Maggie's time is not over. Not in this house, Lily swallowed hard. I saw her jaw tighten, but she tried to smile, a slow, artificial smile. "Oh, I didn't mean it like that," she said lightly. "We were just talking, it was just a joke." But the lie was clear, too clear. John raised one eyebrow, his eyes never leaving hers. "A joke doesn't sound like that." Dan's face flushed. He still didn't speak. His shoulders looked smaller than ever. I felt the tension twisting in the air, but I didn't want to fight. I didn't want yelling, bitterness, breaking, so I spoke softly. "John, it's all right." He turned to me, and something in his expression softened, like he was remembering all the years I spent holding this family together. "No, Maggie, it's not." And in that moment, I realized something. I had gotten so used to silence, to shrinking, to fading into corners, that I had almost forgotten what it felt like to have someone stand up for me. Lily suddenly stood up, her tone changing, sweet, gentle, sugary. "We respect Maggie, of course we do. She's family. We've just been adjusting, that's all." Adjusting. Such a small word, such a heavy meaning. Adjusting to what? To me disappearing? To my presence becoming inconvenient? John didn't respond to her. Instead, he looked at Dan. Not angry, not accusing, just disappointed. A disappointment deeper than anger ever could be. "Dan!" Dan finally looked up. His eyes were tired, very tired. "I know," he whispered, "I know." But knowing was not the same as doing later that evening. While Lily and Dan went upstairs to talk, John and I sat in the kitchen. The same kitchen where I had spent years cooking meals, laughing, teaching Dan how to slice vegetables, singing softly to myself on quiet mornings. Now the room felt different, but having John there brought back a feeling of home. He poured us tea, not the way Lily does it, quickly and carelessly, but the way people do when they understand the value of small moments. Slowly, warmly, with care. "You shouldn't be treated this way," he said gently. I stared at the tea in my hands. The steam swirled like memories. "Things change," I said softly. "Children grow, their lives change. Their homes change, their hearts change too." He shook his head. "Love changes, but respect should not." The words hit something deep inside me. Something I had been pushing down, ignoring, burying. Tears slipped quietly down my cheeks. Not loud sobbing, Just a slow release, like the heart finally exhaling after holding pain too long. He didn't rush to comfort me. He didn't panic. He simply sat with me. And sometimes, silence is the most healing language of all. Dan and Lily were talking, but the walls of the house carry sound like memories do. Lily's voice was sharp, quick, defensive. So now your family is turning against me? Because of her? Her, not me. Not Mom, not Maggie. Just her. Dan's voice was weary. Lily, that wasn't okay. You shouldn't have said that. It was a joke. It didn't sound like one. There was a pause, a heavy one. Then Lily said, "Do you want to live with your mother forever? Because that's what this is about, isn't it?" And suddenly, I understood. This wasn't about curtains or cooking, or where dishes were placed. This was about space, about belonging, about Lily wanting the house, but not the history that came with it. Not me. When the house finally quieted, I went to my small room. The lamp beside my bed glowed softly, the same lamp my husband once fixed when the switch broke. I sat there, hands folded in my lap, staring at the wall. The house that once held my laughter now held my breath instead. Careful, quiet, careful. But something was different now. John had seen everything. Someone finally saw me. Not as a burden, not as an extra, not as an old shadow in the corner, but as someone who had lived, loved, and built this home. And that changed something inside me. Something small, something quiet, something powerful. Meanwhile, Lily made a phone call. Lily wasn't done. Late that night, when everyone was asleep, she stepped outside on the porch with her phone. Her voice was low, angry, sharp. She needs to leave. I'm telling you, I can't live like this. She paused, listening to the person on the other end. We don't know who it was yet, but their answer made her smile. Not a happy smile, a calculating one. Yes, she whispered, I'll handle it. And that was the moment, the exact moment, everything in our quiet home began to shift. Not loudly, not suddenly, but like cracks spreading through old glass. Slow, quiet, unstoppable. Because Lily didn't just want silence, she wanted control. And she was about to do something none of us expected. Something that would change everything, for all of us. The next morning began quietly, almost too quietly. The kind of quiet where the walls seemed to be waiting. I woke before the sun as I always did. Old habits remain even when life changes. I went to the kitchen, careful not to make noise. The kettle warmed, steam lifted softly into the dim light. This house had always been full of mornings. The smell of warm bread, my husband's laughter, my son running in with his school backpack, the radio playing softly in the background. Now mornings felt like borrowed time, like I was a guest in a place I once built. I poured tea into my cup. My hands did not shake, but something inside me felt fragile, like thin glass. John entered the kitchen, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He gave me a small, gentle smile, the kind of smile that says everything without words. Good morning, Maggie. Good morning, John. Did you sleep well? He nodded. I've slept in many rooms around the world, but this house still feels like home. Something warm flickered inside me, a memory of family that once felt safe. We sat in silence for a while, not uncomfortable, just present. Finally, he spoke, carefully, softly. I heard them again last night. My breath slowed. What did you hear? His eyes were sad, not angry sad. She was talking to someone. About you, about removing you. The kettle's quiet bubbling sounded suddenly loud. I didn't gasp, I didn't cry. I already knew. A mother always knows when she is no longer wanted. But hearing the truth out loud is different from simply sensing it. It lands deeper, like a stone sinking to the bottom of a river. Breakfast was different. Lily and Dan came downstairs soon after. Lily looked freshly dressed, bright, cheerful. Too cheerful. Her sweetness was too sweet, her smile too polished. She sat at the table and spoke with a light tone, but her eyes were sharp, calculating. Maggie, I want to have a conversation today. Later, just us girls. The phrase just us girls was soft but sharp, like a ribbon tied too tightly. John glanced at her, not threatening but knowing. She noticed, and she didn't like it. Dan sat quietly, hands clasped. A quiet husband, a tired son, a man balanced between peace and guilt. I spent the morning cleaning the living room. Not because I had to, but because cleaning helps keep the heart steady. Dusting shelves, smoothing cushions, folding blankets with careful hands. It felt like I was holding on to something that was slipping away. Lily passed through the room once. She didn't offer help, she didn't speak, but she watched, not with curiosity. In the afternoon, Lily asked me to sit with her in the sunroom. The sunlight touched the windows softly, but the air felt cold. She crossed her legs neatly, her back straight, her voice gentle. "Maggie, I think it's time we talk about the future." The future. A word that can feel full or empty depending on who holds it. "Of course," I said quietly. "Tell me what you feel." She smiled, but not with her heart. "You've done so much for this family. Raised Dan, built this home. Really, you should be proud." Past tense, should be, as if my story had already ended. "But things change," she continued softly. "We're building our life now, our home, our routine." I nodded slowly. I understood. I truly did, but understanding pain does not make it hurt less. "So," she said, carefully choosing the words, "I think it would be best for everyone if you move to a retirement home." The world did not shatter loudly. It broke quietly, like a thin layer of ice cracking beneath silent footsteps. I did not cry. I did not shout. I simply breathed slowly. "I see." She leaned forward, relieved that I didn't argue. "It will be good for you," she continued quickly. "People your age, activities, care, as if I was suddenly a burden needing management, as if love could be measured in space taken." I folded my hands in my lap. "And Dan?" I asked softly. "Does he agree?" Lily's smile flickered. "Just for a second. He will," she said. Not he did, he will. Meaning, she had already decided. Later that evening, Dan came to my room. He looked exhausted. His voice was quiet, almost small. "Mom, Lily told me what you two discussed." I waited. He sat on the edge of the bed, hands clasped tight. "Things are hard. Work, the house, finances. We're trying to find balance." Balance. The word tasted like guilt disguised as reason. He did not look at me. Because if he did, he would see the years, the sacrifices, the love, the pieces of myself I gave to his future. Maybe the retirement community really would be better for you," he whispered. My heart ached, but my face stayed gentle. "Dan," I whispered, "I am not angry." His shoulders trembled. He looked at me then, finally looked, and the boy he used to be flickered in his eyes. The little boy who once ran to me when he was scared. The boy who held my hand crossing the street. The boy who promised, "I'll take care of you when you're old, Mom." Don't worry, but promises made in childhood often fall silent in adulthood. He closed his eyes. "I'm sorry." I placed my hand on his. My voice was still soft. "Don't be sorry, just be honest." His voice cracked. "I don't know how to handle everything." I nodded. "Then learn, Dan. Learn before regret becomes your only teacher." He didn't answer. He left the room, and the silence that followed was heavier than any words he could have spoken. Later, when Dan and Lily were in their room, John knocked on my door. His expression was serious, too serious. "She told you to leave, didn't she?" I didn't speak. I didn't need to. He sat down, anger flickering beneath his calm voice. "This is your home. You belong here." But I shook my head gently. Belonging is not about walls or furniture, it is about hearts. And their hearts are no longer open to me. John's hands clenched. "Then mine is," he said. The words were so simple, so real, so full of quiet loyalty. Tears slipped down my face again, silent, steady. "Thank you, John." He leaned forward, his voice low. "Let me handle this." Before I could answer, before I could ask what he meant, we heard something. From downstairs, a noise, a voice, another voice. Not Dan, not Lily, someone else. Someone new had entered the house. We stepped out into the hallway, listening. Footsteps, papers being shuffled, a polite professional tone. We walked downstairs slowly, and there in the living room stood a real estate agent. Lily was smiling, shaking his hand. "Yes," she said softly. "We'll be ready to list the house soon." My house, my husband's house, our family's home, being prepared for sale, while I was still living in it. John froze. I did not. I simply stood still, very quiet, very calm, very aware. The agent noticed us and smiled politely. "Oh, you must be Maggie. I've heard so much about you." He had no idea at all. Lily stepped forward, her tone smooth. "We're just starting the process. Nothing is final." But her eyes said, "It's already done." And in that moment, I understood everything. This wasn't just disrespect. This wasn't just impatience. This was erasure. They wanted to remove me, to remove my place, to remove my story, so they could rewrite the house without me. But Lily had made one mistake. She didn't know. Someone else was watching. Someone who knew the legal truth. Someone who knew the history of the house. Someone who knew the will. Someone who wasn't afraid to speak. John. He turned slowly, calmly, deliberately. And what he said next would change the fate of the house and the future of this family. The silence in the living room was deep and heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Lily stood with perfect posture, hands folded, her pretty smile still in place, a smile made of glass, thin and breakable. The real estate agent waited, polite and unaware, holding his clipboard like someone holding a door that shouldn't be opened. Dan hovered behind Lily, guilty eyes, nervous posture, a man standing between loyalty and comfort. And then there was John. He didn't look angry. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't rush. He simply stepped forward, calm as a man who already knows the ending. The house isn't for sale. His voice was quiet, but it filled the entire room. The agent blinked. Lily's smile froze. Dan inhaled sharply, and I felt my heart thump once, strong and steady. Lily laughed faintly, a nervous sound. I think there's a misunderstanding. The house belongs to Dan and me now. So, John interrupted, still gentle, still calm. No, Lily, it doesn't. He reached into his jacket. Not rushed, not dramatic, just steady. He took out a folder, aged paper, neatly kept. Lily's eyes narrowed. What is that? John handed it to the agent. The original property deed. The agent opened it, scanning quickly. Then he looked at Lily, and his expression changed. Not polite anymore, professional, clear, firm. This home is registered in the name of Margaret Thompson only. My name, only mine, not Dan's, not Lily's, mine. The air shifted, the way air shifts right before a storm breaks. Lily's face drained of warmth. Dan's shoulders sagged. The agent slowly closed the folder. I'm sorry, but without Margaret's consent, this house cannot be listed, sold, rented, or transferred. Lily swallowed hard, hard enough to shake. But Dan told me, he said. Dan spoke then, finally, but his voice was small. I thought it was ours now. I thought when Dad passed, John cut in, his voice softer. Dad and Maggie signed the will together. Your father left his share to her completely, knowing what she had sacrificed for this family. Dan covered his face with his hands, shame burning through him. And Lily, Lily's voice cracked. So she gets to stay? Just like that? John didn't answer with anger. He answered with truth. She doesn't have to earn the right to stay. She built this home. No one spoke. No one could. Lily's collapse. Lily's breath shook as she sat down, her confidence melting like ice in warm hands. For the first time, she didn't look powerful. She looked young, afraid, lost. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, she whispered, though she and everyone else knew those words weren't fully true. Dan sat beside her gently. His voice was thick. We got overwhelmed. We thought we needed space. We thought we were choosing our life. I looked at my son, my boy who once held my hand crossing the street. The boy I raised to be kind. He had lost his way, but not his heart. I reached for his hand. Life is not about choosing people out. It's about choosing them closer when times are hard. His tears fell quietly, like small apologies. We didn't shout, we didn't argue. We didn't break anything inside the home. We talked slowly, deeply. Honestly, Lily admitted she felt pressure to be the perfect wife, to have a perfect home, to prove herself. Dan admitted he had been tired, at work, in life, in marriage, and avoiding conflict instead of expressing his feelings. And I admitted something too. I hold on too tightly to memories. Sometimes I forget that life keeps moving. John watched silently, like a guardian, a witness to hearts unfolding. The room felt softer, lighter, human. The turning. Then Lily said something I did not expect. Maggie, I don't deserve to ask for anything, but will you help me learn how to build a home? Not just decorate it, but fill it with love? Her voice broke. My heart softened, not instantly, slowly. Not because her actions were small, but because forgiveness is not about erasing pain. It is about not allowing pain to guide the future. I placed my hand gently over hers. Yes, Lily, we can learn together. Her chin trembled, and she nodded, grateful in a way words could not express. Days passed, not perfect days, but better ones. Lily began joining me in the kitchen, not to control, but to learn. Dan began fixing small things around the house again, not out of obligation, but care. John visited often, checking on everyone, not hovering, just present. Slowly, the home felt like a home again. Not a battleground, not a silent cold house, a home. I was sitting on the porch, the evening sky pink and soft. The same porch where I sat with my husband years ago. The door opened quietly. Lily stepped out, holding 2 cups of tea. She sat beside me, not stiff, not distant, just human. We sipped in silence. Then she spoke. When I said, "Your time is over," I didn't understand what time means. I looked at her gently. "And what does it mean now?" She smiled, a real smile. Soft, humble. Warm. Time is not a space we hold. It is love we continue. My eyes stung, but these tears were warm, not breaking. I reached for her hand. "Then let us continue it." We sat that way until the sun disappeared. Not every story ends with perfection, but some stories end in growth. Not all wounds fade quickly, but some hearts learn to open again. It stayed standing because of love returning to where love began. And sometimes, the person we think is ending our story is actually the person who helps us rewrite it into something stronger, something wiser, something shared.